Hello, my name is Jay, and today we'll be taking a dive into the novel Old Thot Next Door, penned by literary mastermind Quan Millz. As you may know, Old Thot Next Door is a monolith of literature, and the importance of this work is nearly unfathomable. Today, we will be taking a look at and analyzing themes, motifs, and characters from chapters 1 to 3. Before we begin, I would like to provide a brief disclaimer that this novel and recap will contain written descriptions of graphic sexual content. If this is not to your liking, I suggest not watching this video or speaking with your warden beforehand. Without any further introduction, let's begin. At the beginning of the novel, we meet Vernita Washington, our old thought. She often smokes marijuana and drinks alcohol, primarily Hennessy, to preserve her nobility and youth. She also finds herself engaging in frequent intercourse with younger men, whom she affectionately designates her young dicks. During one of these sessions of intimacy, or as Vernita may put it, a dick appointment, we meet Markel and Will, and they engage in a sexual threesome. After this, we learn that Vernita is widowed. Her late husband Clarence was not up to par with her sexual standards, and this is the primary reason why she has preferred intimacy with younger men in her recent years. Vernita's best friend Alice, with whom she formerly worked with at the Department of Motor Vehicles, or the DMV, has a blind date planned for the pair of them. Vernita informs us of Alice's turbulent dating history, in which she had an abusive husband who left her for a younger woman and used to beat her like a slave. Alice and Vernita have several disagreements over Vernita's behavior, which Alice finds unsuitable and inordinate for someone of her age. Finally, Vernita snaps and tells Alice that she doesn't want a relationship at all and only wants intercourse, and Vernita does not wish to act her age, as Alice does. At this blind date, Vernita is disappointed to discover her date is an aged man named Gerald, who, as Vernita says, appears to be pregnant with triplets. She finds their appetite for chicken wings abhorrent and goes to the bathroom to freshen up. In the bathroom, she has another argument with Alice because she feels that Alice intentionally set her up with an older man, despite Vernita's clear wishes to only engage with younger and more sexually able men. In the bathroom, Vernita meets Denitra, who finds Vernita's behavior amusing, and Vernita plans to abandon her companions to visit a more juvenile club in hopes of meeting a young man. Before she's able to leave with Denitra, she gets a call from a man who begins to shout and berate her, demanding she come home lest she be murdered. Vernita hesitantly agrees to these demands, lies to Denitra and Alice about the reason for her departure, and drives home expeditiously. During this drive home, Vernita reveals to us that the anonymous party is actually her other husband, Percy, and that he's just been released from jail. Before we're able to analyze the character of Vernita, it's important to understand the people around her. Will and Markel are two young men who engage with her sexually. They are present on the cover of the novel, and Quan Millz's artistic interpretation of Markel and Will looks like this. They are bisexual and engage in presumed intercourse with one another, and Vernita initially finds this prospect disgusting, but eventually warms to the idea of bisexual contact between men. This brief interaction between Will, Markel, and Vernita stands to show both Vernita's antiquated viewpoint on sexuality as a whole, but also her willingness to understand and accept others for who they are. Will and Markel also serve an important purpose in that we begin to understand what type of person Vernita seeks sexually. Will and Markel are implied to be in their early 20s and relatively tall and muscular, and Vernita is not shy to admit she feels quite an attraction to these men. Next, we meet Alice, who is Vernita's best friend. They worked together in the DMV, which implies a similar level of intelligence and experience in the workforce, though their personalities couldn't be any more different. Alice is a reserved, taciturn woman who prefers slow burn romance and relationships, which is in great contrast to Vernita's voracious sexual appetite. This causes tension in their friendship, with Vernita stating that Alice is old, acts it, and even shows it, whereas Vernita may be a similar age but does not act nor show it. We briefly meet Gerald, a friend of Alice and Vernita's date in Chapter 2. but Vernita finds this man completely revolting due to his overweight stature and his uncanny ability to smack on wings. Denitra and Percy are two characters who are briefly mentioned at the end of chapter 3. Denitra is a youthful woman who seeks to party and have a good time, and both her and Vernita are able to recognize they are similar in this aspect. Percy, on the other hand, is Vernita's second husband, who was previously incarcerated, though the crime in question was left largely unclear. Percy speaks to Vernita quite aggressively, threatening to kill her, and Vernita is clearly afraid of him, though time will tell the true personality of Percy. Finally, with the minor characters out of the way, we can discuss the intricacies of Vernita Ernestine Washington. She is a complex character with many layers to shed, and though we're but a fraction of the way through the novel Old Thot Next Door, we can begin to see her as a genuine, non fictitious person. Vernita is haunted by her deceased husband Clarence, and due to a poor sexual relationship throughout their long standing marriage, she feels that she's missed out on many aspects of life. In a way, her sexual escapades with many random young men can be seen as a coping mechanism and a way for her to fill the void left behind by Clarence's passing. Vernita does not want a relationship because she feels that, in life, she has already experienced true love. She's under the impression that while emotionally she's experienced all that she will, she still has miles to go sexually. Vernita's debauchery in life is not an attempt to live hedonistic dreams of self pleasure, but instead a symbol of her mortality. Vernita understands she is growing old, and she understands that as her death approaches, she has missed out on aspects of life, and she seeks to attain these aspects before her death. To me, it feels as though Vernita believes if she continues to act young, her body will no longer age. This could not be further from the truth. Vernita is aging, and it shows. She must take supplements like fish oil and ginkgo biloba pills to maintain even the most remote shred of normalcy. Her vitality wanes by the day. Vernita is entirely aware of her impending demise, but chooses to spend her last days living as she wishes, and not the way society wants her to. Many of us die long before our body stops functioning. We are killed by the expectations placed on us by society to conform to the beliefs they hold. Vernita is free of these bonds and acts in accordance with her own beliefs and ideas, and not in the way society tells her is ordinary. I think Vernita's story, so far, is a story that inspires us to uphold our most dear ideals, in spite of our peers who may bat us down. This idea that such a raunchy and perhaps satirical novel like Old Thot Next Door is able to bestow such a profound message on readers, whether intentional or not, is what I would consider true beauty in literature, and why this novel is one of the greats. I look forward to the continuation of Vernita's story. Next time, we will take a look at Chapter 4 of Old Thot Next Door. But until then, I strongly urge you to live like Vernita. You don't have to listen to what everyone says, and you don't have to act the way everyone expects. You are responsible for your own happiness. Have a great evening, everybody, and take care.